It's time for the Steve and Kyle podcast with Kyle.
I mean, you're going to be there? Oh. Okay, so you're just... I needed to... I was confused. Wait, that's a little hurtful.
He has packaged bits 5 days a week, and I think it's terrible. I don't know why.
And Steve.
You get a free loaner.
And if there's one thing you like, it's extra cars.
I mean, if there's one thing I enjoy, it's backing out of a driveway and never really being 100% sure that there's not a car parked behind you and having to zigzag down my own driveway.
That's right. But the reward of having a loaner for those long trips you guys take.
Live on tape from APS 3 point whatever, it's the Steve and Kyle podcast.
December 31st, 2022. Steve.
Yeah.
Hear ye, hear ye. I, Steve, of the Steve and Kyle podcast,
Oh, boy.
do hereby proclaim that the year 2023, the year of our Lord, will be tech incident free.
Mm-hmm.
Bracket. Sound effects. Perfect.
That worked out remarkably well.
End of my state. That was saved on our doc.
Uh-huh.
To where I thought I would not have to look at it until December 31st, 2023. And you and I could do the world's loudest high five across this table.
Yeah.
But alas.
Here we are. Just, 6 days, 7 days in?
I feel like 7 days is disingenuous. We were, and I remember, because I remember looking at the clock with horror in my eyes. Mm-hmm. We were 17 minutes and 55 seconds into the new year.
Yeah.
For us, our new year.
Right.
The Steve and Kyle podcast new year. When that look washed across your face from about 30 plus inches away of abject horror and looming disappointment.
Just disappointment.
Because, folks, you'll never believe it. We lost some of the premium tent. It's gone.
Yeah.
The very first 17 minutes of the Steve and Kyle podcast New Year is officially lost to the ether. I thought it was going to be slide whistle. Of course, you never know what you're going to get with those buttons.
Exactly.
To be honest with you, I'm surprised the button worked.
I'm surprised something played.
We're not going to play out everything that happened. We're already upset enough about it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
just know that if you are in the market for an audio mixer with no issues,
can we interest you in a Zoom live track L-8?
Yeah. Needless to say, we are looking to make another change, as this mixer, which was supposed to solve all of our issues, which in hindsight, all of our issues were issues caused by Mother Nature. Right. Like, we lost power, and so you and I reacted thinking, you bought a generator, and we bought this expensive mixer on the recommendation of Sweetwater, if I recall. Mm-hmm. I don't even know anymore. That could have been played 30 seconds ago.
This has been a rough one, folks.
So in hindsight, we reacted to Mother Nature knocking out power by fully redoing our audio system and our mixing system and everything we do. It was supposed to have 3 forms of power so we would never lose it. There was nothing on God's green earth or coming in from off of God's green earth that was going to knock this podcast off of its recording schedule. Mm-hmm. What we did not take into account is the mixer being a top shelf bastard. Mm-hmm. which multiple times over the course of many months has randomly stopped recording, not saved those minutes of recording, which is why now we have zero evidence of the first 17 minutes, which, boy, I know we say it a lot. That was some really good tent.
It was A+.
It was really good tent. So
all I know is right now we're roughly 5.5 minutes in.
yeah, in 4 minutes it's just going to be silence.
We don't know what we're saying right now.
Yeah,
Probably will never see the light of day.
yeah. If this fails, you won't be hearing it. We're just going to do a YouTube live stream from our homes where we complain about the same things from separate areas.
Well, right now, as of right now, we're in a time crunch today.
Yeah, it's a short episode.
Got
if
a
it
hard
happens.
out because and that's going out and
Hitting the town
on
on a Saturday morning. Mm-hmm. Gonna go paint the town wine. That it feels like a girls' trip shirt that everybody would wear matching, right?
Yeah, you wear it to Nashville.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're in Austin on 8th Street or whatever that street's called. Time to paint the town wine.
That's got to be a shirt.
I don't know. I'm upset now because now I'm afraid that joke's going to get lost. Right? So we're going to try to grind through a really quick episode. We were in the midst, Steve, and we're not going to rehash everything, but we were in the midst, before we were so rudely interrupted, of recapping the 1-year-ish anniversary of this podcast studio.
Congratulations.
To the 8x9 or 8x10.
It's 10x9.
I'm going to get them right sometime.
10x9 with 8-foot ceilings, 90 square feet, 720 cubic feet of space that we use to record this podcast on a weekly basis. By the way, we're at 7 minutes and 20 seconds, just 2.5 minutes away from our demise.
I had asked you, Steve, and we got on the topic of what would you do differently in here, and you said nothing. You said you're still happy with the way this turned out. I love it. I love the way it looks. But when we got on the topic of additions, you and I have a fantastic idea for an addition here.
Boy, do we.
That I think, of the dumb things we've planned, this is the most realistic one. This is one that I don't foresee any issues happening, and I foresee this edition becoming a staple in APS 4.0. You and I want to incorporate, right underneath the Tron, we think, a full-size stand-up water cooler. We're talking, what are those, 5-galloners?
Yeah, 5-gallon jugs. Originally, I said a water fountain, like the old school elementary school one. It's got the little, like the pressure switch on the front of it that you kind of lean into.
Yeah.
Possibly, I mean, we could go new school, the ones with the foot pedals. Oh,
I think those, I would love that.
I like that, but I also, you brought up the idea of the actual water cooler, break room water cooler. So every week before we start recording, we can stand around, both of us lean up against the wall. Maybe the top button, like the tie untied a little bit, loosened up to show that we're casual, but we also mean business.
And I think we could even, eventually, if we ever upgrade our microphone arms to the point where we can remove them and carry them around, we could have mid-podcast water cooler chat.
Water cooler chat. So
we want the whole
just
nine.
Us. So it'll be just us. Hey, we'll be back in a moment on the Steve and Kyle podcast, and then
maybe play some bed while you and I go get a cone cup, because they have to be the cone cups.
They have to be the paper cone cups. By the way, we have just 30 seconds left,
and I want those paper cone cups to be as thin as you remember from the golf course.
Yeah, I want them so when you have cold water, you really feel the cold water.
And and you're really worried that if you drink it too aggressively, it's going to somehow rip.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the 2023 edition. So we were looking on Facebook Marketplace. It is right in our budget,
I know,
which is super affordable.
Yeah.
And that's really all our budget ever means, is just cheap.
Right.
You and I never really look for anything that is substantial in upgrades around here.
No.
You built these audio deadening panels. You found the paneling for the door or for the walls. Mm-hmm. And I believe not a cut rate, but I believe you found it.
It was. I got a good deal on it.
Perfect. We've had these same chairs since APS 2.0, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, that's accurate.
These microphones are the second microphones we bought. You and I don't look at upgrades very often.
No. Well, we're always constantly talking about it. We never actually do it.
Well, now I think the mixer upgrade is one that we are going to seriously look into.
Has become paramount.
If you're using a Zoom, you can go ahead and throw that in the garbage. Mm-hmm. This has been a disappointing outcome for something that you and I were very, very excited
about this. It's an all-in-one solution. It's got everything. Because in previous iterations of the studio, we had multiple different pieces of equipment all tied together.
Yeah.
This one was the one that was the all-in-one solution. And we thought, man, this is going to be great. We just pop in an SD card, hit record, and off to the races. Not exactly
hasn't been
seamless.
That smooth.
So
if we had to pick something in this podcast recording in studio's history that's worked as expected every time, what is there one?
The on-air light has been pretty
until just now.
Well, no, I had to unplug it.
Oh, gotcha.
When we were
rerunning
wires. I would say most of the outlets in the room have worked pretty flawlessly.
Some of them we haven't even used.
No, most of them we have.
The coat rack?
Coat hooks are, boy, the old black pipe coat hooks.
Somehow.
They came out nice.
Somehow the ages-old Tron
works great.
Working lovely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Turns out it's just the mixer holding us back at this point.
Yeah. Do you think that's it? You think that's why we haven't hit the big time
I think
yet?
that's why we haven't made a profit in 78 months. Or whatever number of month it is.
Yeah.
That's got to be a real factor. I wanted to ask Steve, because as we talk about all of our tech uses, it definitely makes sense that we expand.
By the way, we made it. We made it past 10.
We made it past 10. Yeah, we coasted past it. So now let's just wait for the next arbitrary time that the mixer decides to stop. We're definitely not aggravated, though.
No.
You said, and you hinted at this last week, so I have many questions for you.
Yeah.
In this, again, very abbreviated episode. Apologies.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot to get to, too.
We have a ton.
Because I'm assuming you're getting to what's...
We may not have time.
Number one on the list? Okay.
Right now I'm getting to number one on the list.
Right.
Number two on the list, we may not have time again today.
Maybe. Come on. Why don't we rapid fire?
I was given a source of news from you before we started recording that I wanted to talk to you about. And we just don't have the time.
What is that? What was that, by the way?
You said you had made a new addition to the kitchen.
Oh, of course. Yeah. That's all right. That's what we call evergreen.
Yeah. So we're going to have to bring that back. I still got to talk about our next big racket that we can bring about next holiday season.
Yep.
But I need to ask you, because it has been on my mind. This has only happened once before, where a friend of yours was going to do a real estate cast, or wanted to do a real estate cast.
He was doing it for a long time. I think he got tired of it.
That's what happens to
got bored of it.
Every podcaster quits.
Everyone.
Okay, except for us.
Well, I mean, we're well on our way. When we were having the tech issues before the podcast, we had both been silent for about 3 or 4 minutes as we just Googled this issue, and I finally just looked up at you and said, "Is this it?
Yeah.
Are we done?"
I pulled up Molotov cocktails because I'm ready to just torch it. Is that something I've seen in movies? Do you think you could construct a Molotov cocktail right off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, no. I mean, I know that it's a glass bottle.
Right. But it has to be liquor, right?
Right, and with like a rag sticking out of the top of it.
So you stuff it with, in my interpretation, you would stuff it with a rag.
I don't know what the liquid is in there, though.
Has to be some type of liquor, just has alcohol, right, that can burn.
I guess
So then you would dip it, turn it upside down.
What makes a Molotov cocktail Molotov?
E.
Yeah. Is there a specific recipe for the liquid? Maybe throw that on the poll. You know something? Don't throw that on the poll.
It's already up there. Could you create a Molotov cocktail?
Gun to your head. Could you create a Molotov cocktail?
Because in my video games, movies, whatever, It's always been the same thing. You already see someone running up to the building with it already.
Yeah, it's glass bottle, rag hanging out the top of it.
Yep.
And then you pull out the Zippo, of course, and you do the tink tink.
Yeah.
Light that thing, and then
you say something, clever or tough.
Yeah.
And you lob it at a window.
Yeah. You're fired.
But in my mind,
I don't know why it's in Arnold's voice.
You and I would show up with a half-drink bottle of Captain Morgan.
Right.
And I don't know if that would work. It might not.
I think so.
I've only ever seen it in clear bottles. Yeah. And you and I would grab probably one of your 800 old oil rags, right? And it wouldn't stuff it enough. So it'd just be loose hanging around the rim.
Right.
And then we would light the rag on fire, immediately panic, whip it out a window, and have it bounce off the window and land on the road in front of it.
I would immediately catch on fire if I tried to throw a Molotov cocktail.
That's a good point. I think we are more likely to catch on fire than to successfully create and throw a Molotov cocktail.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, you don't have to worry about us on the next Capitol riot. Right? We don't even know what liquor we can use. I'm calling you. We're texting. You got a bottle of gin. And I'm asking you if this Bud Light seltzer will work. But we digress.
Yeah.
We talked about this is your friend, your real estate agent who helped you sell and buy many homes and just profited endlessly off of your transactions, Dan Farkas. Mm-hmm. He, at one point, was exploring, and you said he did do it.
He did.
Real Estate Cast.
I'm going to shoot him a text. I'm going to see if he can revive it for 2023.
I don't know if we need that on our network.
We'll throw it in. I mean, look.
Up to this point.
Look, here. Just me and you here.
Yeah.
We'll add him.
Yeah.
So if he gets a couple downloads, we benefit from it. We don't even tell him the whole monetizing thing.
Okay. Yeah, he doesn't monetize. Just tell him something about an open house and distract him.
Hey, buyer-seller concessions.
Hey, are you guys making money on this purchase agreement? So this was many years ago. And since then, you and I have been very selective. And by very selective, I mean we haven't approached it at all. Expanding the Lispin, the Live-In Style Podcast Network.
Yeah. Not to be confused with Libsyn.
Right, which is the hosting.
Where you download the podcast from.
Yeah.
Totally different.
So you said, a week ago, you hinted, and I have no details on this, at a possible expansion of the Lispin.
I was approached by somebody.
Okay.
And they said, I've been listening to this podcast.
Meaning ours?
No.
Okay.
No, of course not.
So this could be a net at this point.
Very well could be. And this person said, I've been listening to this podcast, and I really like the dynamic of the hosts. And it's are
you sure this wasn't our podcast?
Yeah, positive. 100%. And they said that they like the dynamic of this podcast, and it's a, again, not ours, a unique combination of people that are doing the podcast. And when you guessed that it was my wife, Annette, you were correct.
No. That was a total joke.
She has listened to a podcast that I don't even know who it is. But
don't even give details. I want to play guess. I want to guess because I want to guess the type of podcast.
Okay, go ahead.
There's no chance I'll be able to guess the name and the host, obviously.
Right.
But I want to guess some ideas. Mm-hmm. Is it a crafting podcast?
It is not.
Is it a parenting podcast?
Somewhat.
Okay.
It's
Is it hosted by a couple?
It is.
Okay. I still don't know. I'm just based on narrowing it down based on what I could see her listening to and what she would enjoy. I mean, I don't know the names, but it is a somewhat parenting podcast by a couple. Is it a celebrity couple?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Like, I mean, if you busted out one of the names or both of them in conversation, people would.
I don't even know. Because I don't know the names. She may have told me, but I know that she started listening to them because of another podcast that she listens to, which is very popular.
What's that one called?
Armchair Expert.
With Dax
Shepard.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I believe that it might be like a spinoff of that one. So I would assume that these people are known because just Dax Shepard obviously is well known. His podcast is well known. So it is I think it's a husband and wife.
Okay.
That do this podcast. And she said, yeah, I really like it because it's like, they talk about it, that it's their once a week. It's basically their conversation date night type thing where they're able to sit down and uninterrupted. The kids are in bed and they're able to sit down for an hour and just communicate one-on-one.
So is this like a super serious podcast she listens to where they are breaking down like marital issues and questions, or are they kind of having fun?
I think that it could be. Okay. I think it
You've never listened yourself.
I have not.
Okay.
So it maybe.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that's cool. It's an interesting dynamic, interesting idea. Mm-hmm. And she said, yeah, I think I'd be really interested in doing something like that. And I said, what?
Are you sure?
I was like, with who?
That was in your house? With your wife?
Yes. My wife hinted that she wants to do a podcast with me.
Huh.
This feels like a bigger commitment than marriage.
Wow. I mean,
look. How long have I been married? 5 years.
Yeah.
How long have we been doing this podcast?
Yeah.
Like 7 years.
Yeah.
So, marriage. Well.
Yeah, right. That in the scheme of things, that is literally meaningless.
Anybody can do that.
It is a straight road, A to Z, and if you can't do it, you're an idiot. But if you hear Toby, he is really
he's
having
going nuts,
one on his back on the rug next to us here.
He's rolling around. He must have a real hard to reach.
He is stir crazy this morning, and I don't blame him.
Yeah.
So, would you be comfortable, because what you and I do here every week, and I am not saying what you and I do is some exploratory version of the audio space.
It's not special. It's not hard. Anyone can do it.
But what you and I do is unique in the idea that we generally have nothing. We sit down.
Yeah.
We hope to high heaven that all of the audio is going to sound like our voices in our ears. That it's going to save to this lovely, expensive mixer we bought. And generally,
by the way,
that's it.
In the market for a mixer, we got a deal for you. Just $399.
Oh, we're looking to get
99 cents.
Get the Roadcaster one that we want. Maybe a little swap.
$428.99.
That guy from Sweetwater who was real nice to you. Think he'd buy this?
Oh, boy.
Think we could get trade value on it?
Maybe.
I think we reach out. See if we can get a decent trade value, and if he can give us
I do trade-ins.
A recommendation for a different brand entirely.
Yep.
And we can move this thing along to less issues in 2023, because the Tech Issue Free pledge is officially extinct again after 17 minutes and 55 seconds. So, how comfortable are you with the idea of doing? Did she talk anything about like what she would want it to be? Because there is a whole space for one parenting podcast. Yeah. I couldn't be less interested. Is it more of like a breakdown of your guys' lives, like what you do, or just stories about your lives?
I'm not sure if it's going to be like that, or if it's going to be like, hey, yesterday when Evelyn did this, you reacted this way, I reacted this way. I think that we need to...
Oh, God, no. I said, no.
I mean...
I can't delete that. I can't delete that from my feed quick enough.
Look, I am all in. I'll happily do it. I don't know if it's going to be any good.
Yeah.
But I told her, I was like, count me in. But we need, this is where I kind of felt like a hypocrite. I was like, we need like a direction or an idea.
Well, right. You would need some production or mediation, I guess I should say, right? So there's definitely formats you could do, whether it's, hey, each gives their side, and then there's a determined winner, which definitely helps the marriage in the long run by determining a winner in every issue.
Right.
But I think this is lovely because we could rehash almost in real time the crockpot debate.
Oh, boy.
We could. Well, maybe not that one.
The vacuum debate.
What was the one that you said was serious enough that you wouldn't want to revisit? Was it the crock pot? Or was it the vacuum?
No, it's probably the drywall.
You think it was the drywall? Okay, so you and I have rehashed the drywall long enough. We don't need to bring the drywall one back up. We could have the vacuum debate.
Yeah.
We could have the crock pot debate. Mm-hmm. We could have, I'd love to get thoughts on, hey, you didn't come to my parents with me, and instead you stayed home and worked on your Comanche for 48, 60 hours over the new year. Just to see how that really feels and how that went down.
Honestly, I think she liked that. The fact that I was not there. Well, no, never mind. I take that back. She was miserable because Nicholas was more clingy than he's ever been.
Oh, boy.
Normally when we go to her parents' house, it's like, you kind of get a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
Because Evelyn just wants to play. And,
yeah.
My mother-in-law wants nothing more than to, be around the kids and do everything for them and changes diapers with with a smile on her face because she's just so happy to be around them. Yeah. But the kids were just like, no, I want to cling to mom. So it was
So while you were sitting here replacing, a 4-pack of wiring speaker harnesses that were provided to you by a lovely solstice giver on staff.
Thank you.
She was an hour and a half away combating 2 toddlers.
Yeah. So unfortunately we got to put a bow on this very soon, but I told her, I was like, you say the word and I'm in.
I mean, can we come up with a theme? Can we make it maybe like a boxing theme?
Boxing.
Well, so the episode starts and it's ding, 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 and then we relay the issue. You guys each give your points.
So you're like Mills Lane?
Yeah. Whoa, rest in peace. I think we just lost Mills.
R.I.P. Mills.
And then, I'm not saying you need a mediator or whatever, but then at the end, maybe it's a poll, and maybe the audience decides who was in the right, who was in the wrong.
Can you throw up a poll right now? Would you listen to a relationship / parenting podcast with Steve and Annette?
This is, quite honestly, the most shocking thing I've heard from you about Annette ever.
Pretty shocking. Yeah, it was very shocking to hear that.
Of the list of things on what I would have guessed she may have brought to you earlier, one would be, get a neck tattoo. I'm going to start wearing rings on every toe.
Yeah, that would have been weird.
And every finger.
Definitely shocking.
I know. Definitely everything shocking. I want in the house needs to be hemp-based. Yeah, these are just a sample of items.
Yeah, I mean... It's nice, though. It's we've been married 5 years, and that was surprising. It's cool to get that that little jolt of, wow, you surprised me, and I thought that I knew you better than anybody.
Do you think, though, she looks forward to this anywhere between 90 minutes and 2 hours a week where you go away downstairs and we record this? Is that a point of solace for her, or is it, again, hey, it's me and the 2 kids, it's busy, it's run around, it's et cetera?
I think she'd be happier if we did it at night when the kids were in bed.
Sure.
So, before we get out of here, you brought up when she was up at her parents' house last weekend.
Yes.
I was here. I've been off from work for the last 2 weeks.
Did you live off like Hungry Man TV dinners?
Yes. Salisbury steak.
Just walk around your boxes with your hand down there the whole day.
Going, rah, rah, rah.
Like you just open the slider and just hack a loogie.
Just be out the door. Be easier just to go to the bathroom.
You just walk around, decide to replace your staircase.
I was actually thinking about that the other day.
You were not.
I was walking up the steps. I was like, man, these stairs don't match.
It is 2023. Next week, I would like to ask you your big plans, as I do most years and most times of the year. I'll ask you any projects or anything on the horizon. You've been kind of hyper-focused on the Comanche. And I shouldn't say hyper-focused, but
a milestone,
mixed in with...
A milestone was reached in the Comanche build.
Well, I'll get to that next week if... Hopefully we both forget. But you had done a bunch of projects before Nicholas was born. Since then, you've been on somewhat of a hiatus, from what I can tell. You haven't been doing a ton of
And even the
housework.
projects that were done before he was born, I hired that out.
Right.
That was great.
So next week, I'd like to get your list of 2023 projects.
Sure. It's pretty short. It's going to be a short segment. Not quite the A-bit.
Oh, boy. No, I've heard that before. I've heard that tale told many times.
So I had a lot of time on my hands while she was gone. And I thought, what could I do with this time? Don't do this. Could I work on the Comanche? Or could I make good on a promise that I made to you a year ago?
Oh my God, is it time?
Finish up watching every Marvel movie that I have never seen before, which was all but, I think, 2 of them. I had seen
Iron Man and Black Panther.
Iron Man, Black Panther, and I think I saw Iron Man 2. So,
okay.
All right, 3. So I had all this time. Comanche, Marvel movies. Comanche, Marvel movies.
And again, what I would say is there's probably time for both.
Yeah.
But don't let me get in the way.
Yeah. The Comanche obviously won out. I worked on the Comanche ad nauseum for 2.5 days. And had a blast doing it. But then there was last night, Kyle.
Oh my gosh. It's back? I'd honestly quit. I'd opened up a different dock. I started shutting down. I was moving on. Are you telling me?
Last night I thought to myself, what would make Kyle real happy? Side note, earlier this week, I don't even know what day it is, at some point within the last 4 or 5 days, I finished up WandaVision. Fantastic show.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Even though you told me it was 6 episodes, it was actually 9.
Yeah, off by 33% or 50%. It
was a real surprise when I got to the end of episode 6, and I was like, boy, they really
left a hanger.
Really some plot holes here. So I finished that up. Fantastic show. Loved it.
Is this about to happen?
Do you think this is about to happen?
I really hope so. Yes! Yes!
Last night, I sat down and I watched Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Oh, I am so happy.
Would you like a review on that?
Please.
Because I can give you a real quick...
Indulge me.
1-minute review of that movie. Ready?
And... go.
Some dude stole 10 rings from a dead person or something, and now he has eternal life and is using his power to take over the world. He forms the 10 Rings organization. He's searching for a magical place called Talo, which supposedly has mythical creatures. But some chick is guarding the front door and shows him what's up. During their fight, they fall in love, and Shang-Chi is their love child. Grown-up Shang-Chi is a valet driver with his best friend Aquafina, who he definitely won't end up falling in love with by the end of the movie. He gets attacked on a bus.
That was so close. I think you're at like minute 90 in the movie.
Okay. He gets attacked on the bus over his pendant by a knife arm guy. Chaos ensues. Fight, punch, fight, stab. Knife arm gets away with the pendant. Bad news. Turns out that Shang-Chi's dad trained him to be a super killer, but then he runs away, takes on a new identity as Sean. Now he's got to find his sister because Knife Arm Guy is probably after her too, so they fly all the way to the other side of the world to a dark web fight compound. Wong is there. Hell yeah, Wong's there. Shang-Chi, for reasons unknown, now has to fight someone in a ring. Curveball, it's his sister. Turns out she picked up a thing or two when they were kids and is a badass fighter. She knocks his ass out and gives him the cold shoulder, then leaves him hanging as Knife Arm Guy and the other 10 Ring thugs show up. They fight on the side of a building. They get his sister's pendant too. Just as Shang-Chi is about to stab the bad guy, his dad shows up and lightning bolts his hand. Oh, family reunion.
You're right there. 30 seconds left. I'm the timer.
Okay. So Dad's a little crazy and thinks that his dead wife, Shang-Chi's mom, is talking to him and telling him that she's still alive, being held hostage in her village. Pops wants to bust her out when the gate opens in 3 days, but his kids aren't really up for it because they think he's nuts, with the help of Mandarin from one of the Iron Man movies and his no-faced friend, the little furry Morris. They escape. Morris gets them through the enchanted forest. Their aunt greets them and tells them that the Soul Eaters are the ones talking to their dad because they know that the 10 Rings can open the Dark Gate, which has been locked for centuries. Training montage! We learn a lot about Shang-Chi's upbringing. Seems like he was pretty dark. Turns out that when he killed his mom's killer, it really messed him up. Bad. Like, really bad. Now he's going to take out his own dad. his dad, Wenwu, and the thugs show up to fight, and it's on. Red versus blue, Bloods versus Crips, father versus son.
You still had 10 seconds.
Yeah, I can wrap this up. No problem. Wenwu punches Shang-Chi into the sea, then he starts to break the gate down, so everyone decides to work together to fight them. The enemy is my friend, am I right? Shang-Chi emerges from the sea riding a dragon and starts eating the demons. Wenwu finally knocks down the gate, and the demon is eating his soul. Just as the demon is eating a soul, he transfers the rings to Shang-Chi, just as he punts the old 5-galloner. Just as the bad dragon is about to eat the good dragon's soul, who shoots him in the throat? Aquafina. Of course, Shang-Chi launches the rings into the demon's chest, and with a flick of his wrist, dude explodes. There's carnage, but Talo is saved. My boy Wong shows up and tells Shang-Chi and Katie, Aquafina, to follow him into the fire circle because they have a lot to talk about. The rings are giving off some kind of beacon. They go and do karaoke together. Oh, and Shang-Chi's sister didn't disband the Ten Rings organization. And that was 2021's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Okay, well, you were a little rusty.
Pretty good, right?
Just a touch rusty.
Did it go a little bit long?
Nope. Oh, and stop right now at 1 minute. Perfect.
Perfect, yeah.
Nailed it.
I look forward to your assessment of that.
Okay.
Look at that, it is.
I do need a quick blurb. Very quick while the music's playing,
quick.
Steve. What is the blurb in your review of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings?
I was a little worried about the sci-fi nature of it. Mm-hmm. Aquafina, not a good actor. But not enough to ruin the movie for me.
Hey, okay.
Ultimately,
it's getting a little bit wordy.
I enjoyed the flick.
Okay.
And look forward to see further incorporation into the MCU.
Okay, well, that's excessive.
So that should rank right up there with some of the other ones.
That is officially the longest review you've given. So, a touch rusty you are.
Am I giving too many details?
Do what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing.
At Steve and Kyle, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Yeah, stay tuned to our social media this week. Presumably, we're going to have a giveaway for digital download codes to the movie Devotion.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is about pilots from the Korean War, the Forgotten War. And we are going to be doing a giveaway on social media for that over the next week and a half. So stay tuned to that. Sorry we didn't get to mention it earlier as we talked about a lot of issues.
Again, at Steve and Kyle, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We will talk to you next week.